The movie opens with a nervous father, Kennedy, looking for transportation for his wife, Chama, who is in labor, and this will put their first child. In the hospital, excited Kennedy could barely sit as he awaits the birth of his child, but the excitement quickly is replaced with a look of disappointment as soon as he sees the child.
Whatever that thing is, it's not my child.
Chama has given birth to Joseph, a child with albinism, a Wambi, the popular slur used to describe them. Joseph's struggles began from the moment of his birth as he suffers instant rejection from those who should love and protect him. His grandmother had never accepted Chama, and on seeing the child, she stormed out with her daughter, who could only render her apologies to Chama. Chama, who was suffering from postpartum depression, couldn't look at her child nor feed him. Later came around after being encouraged by a good nurse. They say what people don't understand, they fear and seek to destroy. And in this case, Kennedy didn't want to have anything to do with the child or Chama, so he throws them out with nowhere to go. But he found solace with Martin, the taxi driver who marries her and adopts Joseph as his. Despite this, after 12 years, Joseph's life only gets more insecure. The stigma he might receive from the society pushed Chama to homeschool him, not letting him play with his peers from fear of bullying, and the only time he could feel like one of them is when he listens to them tell stories about a madman in the vicinity who throws children into wells. The curious child always seeks to understand his condition, but Chama will only tell him he's rare. We could see she loves him so much, and the only way she thought she could best protect him was to hide him. But Martins didn't always agree with her. He encourages Joseph's curiosity, and even though his job brings little pay, he always gives Joseph toys so he could have a semblance of a normal boy. Martins, in his way, wishes Chama would move on from the fear and hostility she has of her past and bear him a child of his own. But she's so scared that they would all look like Joseph, so she didn't even consider the request. One day, while his mother was distracted with Brenda, his father's sister, he sneaked out to play with his new toy and ends up being bullied by other children.
They don't understand. They fear.
Then I'll teach them. Show them that I'm not dangerous.
Being determined to get his toy back, the next day he went for it. The bullies had taken possession of it. He managed to get it back, but with a chase, and he found safety in the madman's house, knowing they wouldn't follow. The madman came out and took him in, but rather than throw Joseph into a well, he helped him fix his toy. The man was neither mad or unreasonable, and Joseph understood he had misjudged him without knowing him, and that was what he had in common with the man. The man entertained the youngster with music before they introduced themselves, and the man seems fine with being labeled a madman. That was the first friend Joseph ever made, and when his mother finally allowed him to resume school, he made another, Sharon. While other children rejected and bullied him for how he looked, she accepted and played with him. Seeing his keen interest in being a musician, she gifted him her music theory book. For a short time, his life almost felt normal, navigating from school to the madman's place, where he learned to play the guitar as it could help him win Sharon's heart. One day, he came in for practice and the madman sensed he was sad because he had been bullied again by the mean kids. He gave Joseph some powerful and uplifting speech that snapped him back, and he got his mojo again.
I am powerful.
I am strong.
I am strong.
I am worthy.
His mother, who had noticed the disparity in the time he normally returned home from school, questions him, and he came clean about how he had been learning to play the guitar with the madman, and even made a case stating the good nature of the man. One day, while returning from school with Sharon, they got accosted by ritualists who wanted to cut parts of Joseph for ritual, as most people believe using albinos for rituals could bring monetary favor. Sharon quickly ran for help, while the two men tried to butcher the boy. The underage assailant wouldn't cut Joseph, but when pressured by the older guy, he did. And at that time, Sharon had returned with Chama and other people while the older assailant escaped. His partner got apprehended. Joseph was taken to the hospital where he got treated and would need crutches for a while. Chama accused Madman, claiming he orchestrated the whole thing. But the assault on Joseph only proved one thing to Chama and Martin. It wasn't safe for Joseph, and they agreed to move to the city. They left for the city to check for houses to rent and left Joseph in Brenda's care. While she slept, he sneaked out to the madman's place. Madman wouldn't let him in since it's unsafe for them being seen together. He gives Joseph his guitar, and henceforth, Joseph would have to teach himself. This breaks his heart, and while mourning over his lost friendship in class, Auntie Brenda came with a more devastating one. His parents had died in a car accident. During the funeral, he dedicated a song that entails the cruelty of death and his promise to unite with his late parents someday. This drove the attendees to tears. After the ceremony, he overheard some guests talking about how Martin wasn't his real father, and he posed the question of his real father to Aunt Brenda. She wouldn't reveal to him anything about the man who had rejected him, but assured him everything would be fine. But things were far from that. Chama's family made a decision to send him back to Kennedy since it was established he is now rich, and nothing Auntie Brenda could have done to change that. He says his goodbyes to Sharon with a promise of seeing her again. Kennedy, on hearing about Chama's death and driven by guilt, he accepted Joseph, but he hadn't revealed any part of his past life to his new family, and his wife was in opposition of his decision to keep the boy. However, Kennedy wouldn't budge because he owes Chama that much. He had failed her while she was alive. He wasn't about to do same while she's dead. Joseph's young life takes another trajectory, but what always remains constant is the hate and rejection from his new siblings and stepmother. In her bid to send him out, she accused him of stealing, and Kennedy, left with no option, punished him. He was then sent to a boarding school where he made a new friend, Chinwenwe, who at first he was apprehensive towards. But Chinwenwe never judged him for how he looked, and they shared the same love in music, and he even joined the music class. The music had now been the only thing constant, while he had seen family and friends go, and the pain he had endured his whole life, he found motivation from. He grew up to have amassed so much talent that he was incomparable to his peers. While rushing to class one day, he bumped into a girl who happened to be Sharon. After reacquainting themselves, one thing was certain: age hasn't depreciated the way he felt about her, and she reciprocated his feelings. She got him connected with a producer friend of hers, and he made his first song, then several others, and people just loved them. He gets more radio and television plays. On his first public concert, he gets sold out. Saying this was his first show, Sharon and Auntie Brenda, who were present, helped him walk over his stage fright. The oddest thing he didn't expect to happen was for Kennedy to come to his show and beg him for forgiveness. It was really difficult for Joseph to let go, after Kennedy had neglected him his whole life, just to show up when things just started looking up. But in the end,
I forgive you.
he went on as usual to give an outstanding performance that entails his desire for freedom to live in his skin. A madman gets to see his prodigy on TV. If Joseph ever had a list of people to be grateful for the way his life turned out, Madman surely made the list, and he appreciated him accordingly. Can you see Osei's focus to the numerous effects of discrimination people with albinism experience in Zambia and its neighboring nations, with ear-pleasing musical cues that break up the action? The movie not only humanizes the problem of these alienated people, but also makes for enjoyable viewing. Fun fact, the cast for young Joseph is actually a girl, and the movie was inspired by Cleveland.